Saturday.
Not writing it there.
Got quiet.
Here, was it not quiet before?
Oh, they were all.
Okay, we're live.
Okay. Well, then I guess we'll call the meeting to order. Can we do roll call?
Will Rowdy Bush here?
John Sampen here.
Chris Mowen here.
Jeff Howes here.
Chris Chasey is unable to attend today. Can we do approval of last month's meeting minutes?
I move to accept with one small change. Jeff alerted us to a December, or that should have been a January date. Is that right?
Should have been
Or November?
November.
November
because there
date.
was notice
Okay.
Oh, okay.
reference to the minute. And this is for him. Fine.
I'll second him. The minutes.
All right. Assuming no opposed. We have approved, do we have
Yes.
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 approval?
We do.
Yeah.
All right. We already approved the November minutes in the.
Yeah,
December
I
meeting.
just need you to sign
need a
those because you were
signature. Okay.
absent. Yep, that's it.
All right. Our administrative items, we have our next meeting for March 28th. Any reason that needs to move?
I'm fine with that.
All right. We will keep that March 28th at 4 p.m. Our local designations, we have University Hall. So we've had some movement on getting a sign in.
Jeff and I went to a meeting at the university with Laura Moore on January 19th, a very positive meeting, and they are willing to design and pay for a plaque, which will be hung in the University Hall. We're not sure where. They're working on the design of that. I asked that perhaps they could have a picture of the old University Hall from 1920. And Laura asked for some wording of how we want to be represented. I think I forwarded that. I know to Heather, and I don't know if that went to everybody. But basically, it's just saying that was approved by the HPC in whatever month we did it.
Oh,
So,
great.
so no, there's no more movement on that. The university works slowly, but it will happen. It's in the works.
So they don't need any more information from us after that wording.
I guess at this point, they were all set.
Okay, great. The Wood County Courthouse and Jail, under our agenda, it's listed as building inventory, which has been completed. So, but I think we want to keep this on as we're hoping to add some signage to there as well. As soon as we see what the University Hall looks like. Do we want to get that conversation going with some commissioners or?
With the commissioners of the Wood County.
The Wood County Courthouse, yeah. Get us some
Yes.
signage, yeah.
I think we should.
Who was in contact with them before when we were putting it on the,
I think it was
On
more
our
so the mayor.
Okay.
Stayed in contact.
Yeah, we had a meeting, it must have been a year and a half ago. Where you were part of that.
Yeah.
Will. They gave us a little tour of the courthouse, and we talked about making that designation. I don't remember that we talked too much about a sign. that
I don't think we
would be
mentioned
on.
the sign.
okay. I don't know if we have a contact to reach out to or
Yeah, there was someone that,
Yeah, I think before it was the former administrator and now there's a new
a new
Okay.
person.
person.
Okay.
So
We might want to reach out and introduce ourselves to the new administrator. Does anyone want to reach out to this new administrator?
I have her card.
Okay,
I think how we're gonna start the conversation first is for them to participate in our National Preservation Month. So that might be something we deal with first and
Yeah.
then into that. I don't want,
that's a good idea.
maybe do it in that order.
Yeah. Get that ball rolling on our May event. Okay.
So we're gonna hold on that for the moment.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you wouldn't mind sharing the administrator's contact, and whether you want to contact them or how we're gonna get out information about our May Preservation Month stuff, I can help
Sounds good.
draft up something for that. Our Boomtown strategic, or Boomtown district, we've had some more discussions on maybe starting some inventory on North Maple, is that right?
Yeah, and putting a letter together to send out to the homeowners.
Oh.
I think
Yes, we
Jeff,
did
Jeff,
see,
were you working on?
Yeah, I
Okay.
sent it to you and
You know-
Chris and other.
I'm sorry if you did, and I don't remember getting it.
Okay,
I've had a little email disaster in my,
I should have sent it to
Yeah,
everybody.
because I was looking for it and I saw
Okay.
nothing. I,
I was. I
Didn't realize
sent
you
it to
had done
people
it.
who were on the emails wondering where it was. And
Wow.
so I just went.
yeah, just blanketed
replied
it
all,
out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it wasn't all. Yeah.
could you send it one more time?
Yes, yeah, I can
Thank
do
you.
that
Thank
right
you.
now.
thank you.
so for the sort of next steps, obviously, we can take a look at the letter Jeff put together and give any comments. We talked about maybe some sort of packet that might accompany that that describes what the ordinance does and maybe some examples of how a certificate of appropriateness for, a new siding or a new roof or new windows, that sort of thing.
Are you imagining, I think what you suggested, or maybe Heather did, a large packet? How much information are we wanting to provide? And would this be via mail or just a
Well, our
link to-
survey has to go out certified mail, right?
Yes, I think that's right. According to our
According
document.
to our ordinance.
yeah.
I believe it would be best to have that informational packet with the survey so that it, they have all the information right. And we can provide that, we are going to need some form of guidelines for ourselves and our community. When certificate of appropriateness come across our desk, we, want something to
Certified.
whether that is what's included is a full guideline. I don't know. It depends on how quickly this is moving, because a guideline document will take a while to accomplish.
Depending on how extensive we want it to be.
Right.
I just started a one-page list of advantages and obligations and rules. I can share that. I did this an hour ago.
Okay, great.
So it's not in any way in a finished form, but maybe something like this. Here's one more for. Depending on how extensive you think we need. I mean, if we want to really go into all the rules, then.
Well, I
requires
think
more work.
our guidelines document will be pretty extensive whenever it gets completed, because that's what's going to help the commission and the property owners when they, to all be on the same page about what will be appropriate, what wouldn't be appropriate, we can guide everyone to the Secretary of Interior standards, which is what our, our ordinance says, that's what we'll follow, but it's not so, I mean, the Secretary of Interior standards doesn't have all these things really cut and dry, easy to find. I think we're gonna have to compile that into something that's easy for everyone to understand on a,
So what I put here is that a reference to a study from the National Register. This was from the 12 economic benefits of historic preservation. I think that came from you, Heather, right? Saying,
that was put out by,
yeah, I didn't have a reference of,
yeah, I can
Is it-
get you who that
Yeah,
was.
Donovan,
Yeah,
Ripken or whatever, I would say his name or.
Yeah. Place Economics, that's the name of this
Yeah.
organization, yeah.
and this is a study that looked at districts in Philadelphia, homes in historic districts receiving a sales price premium of 131% over comparable properties in undesignated neighborhoods. And another study in Texas found the local designation increased property values between 5 and 20%. So
Yeah,
I
these
was
are great.
thinking some information like that. And then the next list of items was taken from our presentation when we proposed to the city council. Just a whole series of things that we thought were good for the historic district and for our city. And then I listed a few obligations and rules. Now, this may just be too simple and not enough detail.
No, I mean, I do think this is a really good start and I don't see any reason we wouldn't have, these advantages and obligations on top of. I think where we're gonna get a lot of questions is what is a major renovation versus a minor, what happens if I have a slate roof, what can I replace it with, and I just think we want to be prepared to have those sorts
Okay.
of conversations.
Or like
before.
a FAQ you've talked about before. We had
Yeah.
a very general FAQ at one point, but it was more trying to promote the ordinance and answer questions. So that probably still needs adapted,
Yeah.
but it was useful, I think.
Yeah. So I don't think we necessarily need to have like our full guidelines out with our survey. I just, something that
It'll take
It's
some
very
time to put
common.
it together, yeah.
windows are pretty common, like I said, we just do windows, roof, siding.
Lighting. Oh.
So maybe like a second page listing some of that detail.
Right,
We can go
How-
back to the Secretary of Interior's document too, to look at
yeah.
those specific materials.
Last summer, I started a outline of a guideline document and I think some of that probably is already in there. We can
I was gonna pull it
go
up,
back to,
go back to your
yeah,
email.
I can resurface that and
Why don't I send this to you on my
email.
computer, yeah, and then we can all help edit it.
Yeah.
I just want to get it moving along if we can, so we can start that survey for North Maple. I think that's what we're talking about.
I do think anything, we send as officially City of Bowling Green, I need to share with our legal counsel. So I want to be real
Right.
cautious of the selling versus what's an official written survey. So
Okay.
that's some of the issues I need to think about.
Okay,
Especially coming from the HPC on behalf of the city. I don't know if it really matters though, John, if you went door to door and got somebody to sign a petition, if you even had to do the survey. I mean, if you're the owner leading the street in the district, I don't see where a survey has to even happen. I'm just throwing that out there. If you sound like you're in a hurry and you don't want to wait, you could go door to door and have somebody sign off and it's owner led, not
Yeah,
HPC led.
that's true. There are a number of rentals on that block, which will be more difficult. It'll be,
But it doesn't matter at the end of the day because there isn't a specific tie to the majority or the percentages, if you recall. It's a presentation to, the HPC and then.
to the city
plan-
council, and then
Right.
they would either agree or not agree.
Correct.
To that.
I'm just throwing it out there as an option if
Okay,
you,
well,
with these other steps.
If I
happen.
have that authority, by our chair, I can.
well, I think if the HPC is putting this forward, we have certain protocols. If
Mhm.
the homeowners are putting it forward, we have then at that point it's,
Like Nina, we had an
Right.
application for Nina that we created.
Mhm.
Where she signed off on it, she wants to do it, it's owner led, and then
Right.
she didn't do a written survey. She provided her consent by signing that application. And providing the building inventory and providing a legal description of her property and an aerial
Right.
view. Yeah, that was helpful, and I think that's what I'm trying to highlight is the difference, the
Mhm.
HPC led versus the owner led.
And the thing too is like you go back to the definition of historic districts as any area within a geographic boundary identified by commission as having two or more
Mm.
contributing properties. So it wouldn't be the whole street. You just found
No, but
if there's this.
I think that was
To
our
get a
initial
district,
idea.
yeah, yeah.
right.
I mean,
doesn't
just
have
to
I
establish a
think
district,
Yeah.
it could be expanded, but I mean, as a minimum,
Right.
it just take two, and then you create a district.
So I mean, if it is something the commission wants to take on, like Heather said, we have, we'll follow our ordinance if the homeowners on North Maple decide they want to bring it to us without certified survey, and we can go that route.
You're asking me what I think.
I'm just sort of outlining, we
Yeah,
have these
two
two paths.
possibilities.
Yeah.
I guess I would prefer it came through HPC. And I would think if we can develop a packet of or whatever we want to call it and get it approved by the attorney for the city, we should be able to do that rather quickly. No? You don't, you don't think?
Well, I mean, I don't know what quickly is, but yeah. We can,
University quick or? Saying.
I think what you put together here is a great start for something that we could, these are great talking points just for us to have in general in our back pockets anytime someone asks questions. But the additional information that I think some of it, the kind of like actual physical material questions we might get, I think some of that's already been created, but none of it's gone through, looked at by anyone at the city. So, in terms of legal, so
One of the
I don't
things-
know how long that will
One of the
take.
things I worry about, we're in the midst of the zoning and rezoning discussions, and I worry about how that might impact all of our historic area, and particularly my street on North Maple. I mean, I don't want to get into a discussion about that, but.
And I think you should be worried regardless, and we all are, whether we were changing the zoning code or not.
Mhm.
Let me lay it out that way. After seeing pictures of before and after houses that have already been transformed decades ago. I mean, it should be a issue that I wish we had 30 years ago, but we
Right.
didn't. So I feel like
There's-
regardless of the zoning code, we all want to move forward
Right.
with preserving our historical structures and districts.
And I
But
just think that we, by sitting on this too long, it doesn't do us any good.
Yeah, no, I'm not suggesting we stall it. I just didn't, I didn't know what you meant by quickly. It meant like by next meeting. I don't know if that's
Okay,
doable, but
maybe in two meetings, do you think?
well, I think we could come up with, some documents by then. I just don't know how long it will take
Yeah.
for the
I'm not taking on
cities.
any additional documents if you're asking me
Right.
to do that. This
No.
grant alone
No.
and I'm asking you to present me with things that I can
Right.
share with our legal
With
counsel.
legal.
We are just really buried with all the other things we have going on, just with even this commission. So
Yeah.
I'd appreciate any assistance. Again, we'll do what we need to do with it. We can also pretty up documents if that's the right terminology to use.
Yeah.
We have Hallie, if you remember, that can do that. She's very busy too, but she's happy to make things look, I know it's a lot of text, just making it look a little nicer.
Yeah.
So,
I
But we
like,
do
I
have-
like prettying up.
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm willing.
So that's all I mean by, we'll we can put together items, but getting them over to Heather and getting
Okay,
for
but
Heather to.
What if
send on it.
you forward to me suggestions?
Yep.
And I can plug it in, and then I can once we have something, we can share a little bit of that through email, and then maybe by next meeting, we could go over a possible packet that could be sent out, but then we can have, at that point, our legal team look at it, and hopefully it'll be agreeable, and then we can move perhaps by that second
By
meeting from now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Does that sound
That's
okay?
a good,
Okay.
good goal. Um,
Probably at lobby visitation. You have to Get through
Yeah.
the agenda and then lobby visitation.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you can, but make sure you write it down so you don't, so, yeah, don't, we want to hear what you have to say, but yeah, we'll get through our, items and then. For the Friends of the HPC, our friends have been working on buildings of the month. So we have next up, Milliken Hotel. And we got that narrative today. And then after that, we have the, Roni
Milliken House.
Milliken House.
Mhm.
I know, and Larry Nader is working on that. He said he was wrapping that up. So after that, we have
South Main School.
South Main School. That's May, right? Am I
Yeah.
doing these
That would be May.
math
Mhm.
right? Okay.
I volunteered to do that.
The South Main School.
Oh,
Great.
I need to get started though. 'cause
Yeah.
Well, We had
Um,
Rose's name on that, so I don't know.
Oh.
okay. Oh, that's fine.
or you can share an effort and what you
You can
yeah,
share it or
Rose, if
whatever.
you have started on that's South Main School, that's May is Preservation Month, so that was one of the reasons we thought that would be a good one. It's obviously one that we all see and hope that it stays preserved. So,
Touch base.
yeah. We don't have much slated for the second half of the year. If anyone has buildings they would like to write about in the second half of the year, feel free to throw out ideas or just send us write-ups of history if you want. We're happy to. I'd rather have them all, sitting there waiting if that's what ends up happening. But we at least have the next couple months figured out. For our interpretive signage project, the big thing is our due date for our CLG grant is the end of March. And I know Heather's been working hard on that. I plan to help join in the efforts of getting that out the door.
Well, I did make copies of, it's an online grant now. It wasn't before,
Right.
so I tried to print it out so you all could see the details there. I highlighted the couple of things that I think would be most helpful for me, if you're able to maybe work on the project description jointly and I
Great.
can fill in where I can. And then I had emailed the quote for the signs that would be part of the grant. I copied that. A coworker in my office helped do the project budget worksheet that's required.
Yeah, I thought that was.
So that was good. And then we just did a general layout where we thought some signs could go. To again, just get a leg up on where we think would be the best locations based on the quote.
Mhm.
And then I did have some conversations with the CLG grant coordinator, and I thought that was helpful because he felt that the signs needed to have a National Register building or district highlighted on them. He said
Okay.
they all don't have to, but that gave me I think all of us some direction on what could be on those signs in the future. As long as there's at least one, important National Register building, and then it could have other
So that's
information on there.
not a requirement, but he thinks that might helps us in terms of being awarded.
I feel like coming from him, I would make it sound like a requirement.
Okay.
What I'm understanding is that once you submit the grant and say you're awarded the grant, they will give you recommendations as part of that grant.
Okay.
He was telling me that about Athens too, that they told them what they needed to do with it. So I
Yeah.
just trying to be prepared for not having all these recommendations if we try to address them, maybe part of our narrative. So here's copies of that if you want to keep
Great.
it, look through it. But you really got to tie it to that point system and, I think the biggest bucket we'd fall under is education. The interpretive signage would be education. I couldn't really think of any other category it would fall under, but I do see a lot of advantages we could write about with tourism and, self-guided walking tours and, younger children, college students, anybody could partake, and we could eventually tie it to the audio tour that you had been working on with Ted, I think,
Ted, mhm.
that, eventually there would be that tie there. So I think a lot
Yeah.
can build off of that.
So,
Heather, thank you for taking that over. I
Yeah.
know we were slated to do it and
That's okay.
we didn't.
Yeah, no problem. Like I
didn't
said, I
go
think
very
the
far.
biggest thing is that narrative.
Yeah.
Figuring that out and really trying to hit the main components of the grant. But I think we have a good chance and we're getting there.
yeah.
Got to put some time into it.
Yeah.
I just can't believe it's March already. So that's
I
why
know.
I was hoping to have a draft to you by then of the whole thing, but I couldn't get to it all.
Yeah,
Good,
I-
Very good.
I think we'll have to, that was my goal that, we'd have a draft to look at today and then approve it next meeting, but,
It'll have to be by email at this point.
exactly.
And I know Dick Martin in the audience sent us an email with some ideas for signs too, which will be very helpful to
Yeah.
have him involved in the future.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
So we appreciate everybody, all hands on deck,
yes,
because the real work would start after the grant.
right. I was gonna say that, that is something that we want to keep in mind, as we're applying for this, if we're awarded. There are timelines and requirements that are tied to that, so we'll have to, this will be a big, hopefully we get awarded and it'll be a big project for the rest of the year for us to get this
It
all
will,
done.
definitely.
I did start some project description and abstract back in November. And maybe my wording wasn't, I never had any feedback from anyone, so
Mm,
I don't know if you didn't like it, which is fine.
I think you might have focused on things outside the downtown, maybe was part of it. And I don't remember, it's been a while, but I thought
Yeah.
that was,
I talked about the police building, Needle
Okay,
Hall.
okay.
And
Okay.
we can just
yeah,
work in other sites.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I can share that, and you can shoot it down if you want. That's fine if anybody wants to write other text. But I did do a little bit of that, the summary.
I can, I'll go back to that and.
Okay.
Right, so we don't have to start from scratch. You've already
Right.
started.
Yeah.
Yeah, we,
That
I
was-
did read it. I
I-
never got comments though.
That's
Sorry.
okay. It was dated November 10th.
November 10th, okay.
The email date.
I think I emailed everybody. I
can
think
look at-
Christina and I were slated to be on that committee, and I would have included that to Christina. But I can send it again, just let me know.
So I think for, we'll basically want a final draft by our next meeting. So we can all say, yep, hit submit, since it's due the end of that week.
Do we need to select sites, or we sites that?
No, I just thought we should try to be as specific as possible, that
Yeah.
it looks planful and
Right.
close to moving forward. I figured if we highlight different buildings in the downtown and obviously the courthouse, just some real key spots that are on the register, that would be
Uh-huh.
very helpful.
So if we can have a draft of a description by the 10th, does that give us enough time to kind of go back and forth a couple times?
Mhm.
Obviously, and then any comments from what Heather's already put together. That still gives us another 2 weeks to kind of hash out any other
Sure.
details.
That's March 10th.
March tenth.
What's today? Almost, almost the first.
Yeah, tomorrow's the first.
Yeah.
Do we have uh anything, I haven't had a chance to look, the Ohio History Fund grant, is that a rolling, do you remember if that's a rolling clock?
Remember, isn't that the one
Okay.
where they only have so much money they collect and it can be brick and mortar even?
Yeah,
I mean, that, to me, that could be maybe a phase two. I
Yeah.
think just getting our feet wet with this grant will be pretty big and then maybe again, another year
yeah,
that could happen or two, depending on what we have going on and how long this project takes.
yeah. I'm excited though. I think this will be a really great addition to our community,
Yeah.
this information. Do we have anything else we need to cover for the CLG grant? Other than just doing our homework?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Our public relations, we had our, earlier this month, we had our historic tax credit introduction from, Sam and Nathan from our state preservation office. They came and gave a presentation. I hope it was informative and helpful to those who were able to attend. You know, they tried to get through a lot in an
Yeah.
hour and a half, so it was a lot to take in. I'll say
I have extra copies of the presentations if anybody wants them.
I would love. it.
Okay.
I'm sorry I wasn't there. I couldn't
Oh,
go.
that's, yeah. I think it was a good sort of introduction, maybe some portions
I
got
thought-
into the weeds a little bit.
They're saying, they're two different.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What, each
One from Sam, one from Nathan.
Yeah,
They look like same.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I see.
What was important to me was to hear the input from people who might be applying for
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And what their concerns
Yep.
are. It was really enlightening
Yeah.
to me.
well, it was encouraging to see their interest. to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is what got me thinking again about, you know, we're gonna need to get our guidelines out there at some point, because a lot of the questions they got at the, you know, well, what about this? And what about I have historic windows, can I replace them? You know, those sorts of things. And we'll be getting
And-
those same questions through certificate of appropriateness. So, that's why, you know, that's been a little bit urgent in my mind, but, the tax credit process is a little bit overwhelming when you first get, you know, it's a lot to like think about, but that's why I mentioned in the meeting that the preservation office is, that's why they're doing these. That's why they're, you know, try to be accessible so that hopefully it's not so scary. But yeah, yeah, it was a good turnout. Hopefully we'll have even more people interested in joining us in May when we have more discussion.
They showcase some good examples too.
Yeah.
Pictures and all,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
there in the slides.
So that gets us into our future events. We have, March 13th, the library is putting on a Boomtown Homes non-walking tour presentation. That's at March 13th at 2 p.m. You can register for that through the library. And then so Ted has worked on a audio tour for the north half of Main Street. He was sort of finalizing some of that. Meanwhile, he's wanting to move on to a South Main Street audio tour. The reason he wanted to do them in two separate tours was, you know, just the length of time it would take to do one. Doesn't want to make them like so long that people get bored or it's too much walking, that sort of thing. So hopefully by summer we'll have a North Main Street and South Main Street audio tour for people to hear about EG as they walk around. I'll touch base with him in the next couple weeks and see where those are.
Great.
Yeah, he had a written script, I think is what you call,
Mm.
for his North Main Street, but I haven't heard the actual audio portion of that yet.
What kind of technology is available to people then? Is it gonna be,
I think it's an app.
Okay.
That you go to get.
to get on your
that,
phone or PC or
Mhm.
Right,
wireless?
you might not have to actually download an app. It might be something you can access through a web browser. I'm not exactly sure.
And when is this being available? Did you give a date? I'm sorry if I missed it.
No, I'm just hoping by the time the weather's nice.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
nice today.
I know it is nice today. But but by summer, it'd be great if we have both.
May or June.
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, good.
But in May, we have our preservation month. So, Heather's been working on our History Lives Here signs for yard signs. We are press release is going out soon, right?
Yeah, I believe it's gonna be March 6th. So we already
March
have
6th.
our first press release, basically asking for property owners of historic structures or homes to sign up online if you want to display one of these signs. And we have a rendering of the sign. It didn't print out well. Obviously, it won't be cut off when it's on a real sign. So here's what Hallie did. So they'll be able, so that if this is, let's say it's a house, it's posted at your house. Somebody can walk by, take a picture of the QR code. It'll go to the city webpage dedicated to National Preservation Month.
Hmm.
And then supposedly it's gonna look like a GIS story map. I don't know if people have seen
Okay.
those, but you can flip through. But this is new to the city to have these story maps, and Hallie, like I said, only has so much free time to do it, but that is her plan we collect those histories from people. And then it would basically be a picture that probably one of our staff will take of the property, and then this little blurb of a history about the building. So that's the plan. I think the key, like I think I said last month, is that for you all to really heavily promote this, because, we hope more than 5 people on this commission participate.
Yeah.
So that would be the goal, I think, just to get the word out there, talk to your neighbors, and I may need your help passing out signs too prior to May 1st, because
Sure.
we have a very small staff and we're gonna
Yeah.
try to, we just don't know. We don't know how much work it is. I think it might be a lot of work if we have a lot of participation, which is fine.
Yeah.
But we just want to make sure it's organized and just an exciting thing
Yeah.
that people can do, take a walk, and we're hoping to have a map too, but we just don't know if the map's gonna happen for our
Yeah.
first year. Like I said, just a
That's-
lot of things are going on right now, and but we're getting there. I think we've planned well enough ahead that hopefully it works out well. Again, the form is gonna be online. So it's already gonna be part of that press release. You can just click on that and
Great.
do it online, and yeah.
What was the cost per sign?
I don't remember for sure. I didn't bring all that with me, but I know Rose had sent an idea for a sign company to use. I know Hallie already had some prices. I don't know. Hallie was taking care of that part, so she's just gonna basically tell me what the planning department will owe. So once it's done, so we don't know if if we're gonna need 50 signs,
Right.
80. I mean, we're not real sure. So we do have a deadline on that press release. I should just pass that out, sorry. So there's a deadline there. And then we're gonna have a press release number 2 that will be announcing May as Preservation Month. And it's going to include obviously highlighting this self-guided walking tour with the signage. And then it's
Hmm.
going to highlight if Chris ends up are you gonna have another panel discussion for May, or you're not sure?
I'd like to, I
Okay.
think, I just have to choose which of
Okay.
those may.
Cause that holds up that
May
press
have-
release a little bit,
Okay.
knowing that, cause I try to give stuff to Hallie as early as possible. But I also
I'll reach
listed,
back out to Eric to confirm his
Okay.
availability.
oh, great,
And then I'll.
okay.
yeah.
So that press release number 2 is gonna also include events from the library and the museum.
Muse-
Marissa gave us a list of events. So it's gonna be, again, just a joint press release, and that'll be again right before May 1st.
Yeah.
And then Chris and I are gonna be on the radio to talk about it too,
Yes.
sometime in April.
April, I don't, yeah, I have it in my
It's on
calendar.
my
but I don't
calendar, so
remember
yeah.
what date.
So we'll just try to keep pushing it and then hopefully you
Yeah.
all can push it and we already, I think, have some historic buildings of the month. Maybe we can reach out to. That might
Yep.
be a way to get some more conversations going. So,
Yeah, I think, we're calling them yard signs, but I think they could very easily go in a window of a
Absolutely, yeah.
storefront,
Mhm.
those
Yep.
sorts of things. So
Yep.
hopefully there's a lot of interest. It's yeah. I think I told everyone here that I was gonna write a little, it's a little bit about it that I can hand off to, my neighbors on
Mm.
my block. I'm gonna share that in case anyone else wanted to.
and if
Drop
we
'em off
get
at their neighbors.
inundated with requests, let's say, I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping I could reach out to you all if you can maybe help research homes if people feel stuck and they
Right.
don't have any information, that maybe you all could be a resource. Cause
Mhm.
it takes time to research properties.
Yeah.
As those of us have written the buildings of the month, they're, they can be a time consuming thing to do. It's fun though. I enjoy it, but it does take a lot of time. So.
Yeah. So that's obviously why we're starting early to get people interested and give them a little bit of time to get information together. Hopefully we'll see a bunch of those signs around BG in May. We are still, I'm still hoping to do a historic tax credit panel discussion in May, looking at either May 12th or 19th. I just have to confirm some availability from, we're hoping to bring in some developers from local community, from surrounding areas that have gone through it so they can kind of give their, their side of the story of how it all functions. And then I was planning on going over a general overview of how the state application works during that discussion. So as soon as I have that date nailed down, I'll let you know. Hopefully we have a venue still available by the time I have available, have everyone's dates. And then we have on here Tell Your BG History session. I'm not sure. I don't think that's something that at this point we're looking to add in this month, this May. And I didn't get to touch base with Christina Tracy if she thought more about that.
I think we have a pretty
But-
full slate for
yeah.
May. I think I think it's a great idea. And I think I might have forwarded you the idea that Rossford was doing that. They're celebrating their upcoming birthday. I can't remember if it's 100th or what it is,
Okay.
but they basically sort of did this, but on Facebook. So put a call out
Yeah,
to talk about their experience growing up in Rossford and what are your favorite memories, post a picture. And it looked kind of like a neat idea that
yeah.
maybe you could adapt. That would be a little easier. I don't know.
Then
Just
an
to-
in-person.
Yeah. so maybe in the future, but I think May, we have a lot going on.
Yeah.
So,
s-
good stuff.
But I think if we want to maybe think about that for a different month or a different way of doing that, that's maybe outside of Preservation Month. Obviously, cool idea. So maybe something we
Yeah.
just keep on the back burner for a little bit. But I don't have anything else in terms of our educational items or public relations. So do we have anything else from the commission members? Then we can move to lobby visitation. Yeah.
You need this. You come up-
Sorry,
yeah,
yeah. If you,
That way you're live on.
yeah, then
I'm sure you
everyone
wanna be
on
TV.
online can hear your
Hi,
Okay,
I'm
questions.
Janet
See-
Knapp.
Hi,
and
Janet.
I own the property at 504 South Main Street, the Yellow Victorian, with lamppost in the front yard that you may be aware of. And I look out my bedroom window at the South Main School every morning.
Oh.
So I'm very interested in having that preserved. But it occurred to me when you were talking about, John, putting together your talking points for the neighborhood. Has anybody contacted like Perrysburg or Finley? They've been very successful at you know, their historic districts and stuff, and that may be a starting point for that. And then, what other neighborhoods are you considering? I mean, on South Main Street where I am, there are several homes, the Wood County group home that's there is beautifully maintained. A few houses down is a building that I understand at one point was the Wood County Hospital. It's the one that has the 2-floor balcony. That is a beautiful building, but needs some attention. And so, I mean, I don't know what the process is. Is there any discussion about
Well,
South Main Street?
We were hoping to just get something started with North Maple, where I think we have a lot of support for-
Right.
for pursuing it, and just
Sure.
get one district, even if it's 1-2 blocks under our belt,
Yeah.
and then move forward from there. We had talked about the entire Boomtown area as being a district, but that's a huge project, and
Right.
Sure.
we're not ready to undertake that. But I don't know if we, we would enjoy residents such as yourself proposing a
Mhm.
district.
Okay,
Yeah, you could list the big addresses and get them together.
sure.
She could get them to us, but
Yeah.
I'd suggested several meetings ago, because when we talked about doing putting a big district, then you start looking at which house.
Right.
I thought of this idea of doing it by street.
Mm-hmm.
Another
Sure, the
Main
west side of
Street
South Main.
district, yeah,
Right,
uh,
yeah,
like Maple, so it's sort of not excluding any street, it's like just based on interest.
sure.
So if you could help Main Street,
Okay,
especially the house. South Main,
sure.
identifying, and any that that have some history, like say for the hospital. I
Yep.
hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I think, I'll just put it this way, we are not, there's not necessarily stopping point for us in terms of, we don't have, but we don't have exact laid out,
okay. You're
going
just-
forward. We're-
Sounds like you're just getting
We're just
started.
getting,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yours is the first initiative. so-
We have,
I
we
want,
have one house that's been identified as historically 318 Court Street. That's the first house that's actually gone through the process of coming to us,
Right.
and then us having to go to council and the planning department. Got it approved, so that's the only house so far that.
Yep.
Actually.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention, we do have the opportunity to do individual listings if you wanted to,
Sure,
put your house on our local register, or a whole district of whatever that may be, a block or a few blocks or,
okay.
yeah.
And I did come
I'm-
to the Ohio History tax credit meeting, but I'm very confused about it. So the historic district here is not the same as a federal national register, is
Right.
that correct?
That's correct.
So it's less restrictive than the federal register would be in terms of restoration and renovation projects, from my understanding.
The National Register of Historic Places, it doesn't come with any regulation.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a designation. It's
a
this
different
area
thing.
is historic. But it does qualify you for federal tax credits. Our local register would come with, you'd, follow the ordinance that's in our zoning code.
Yeah.
Should you want to make changes, it would come in front of the commission,
Okay,
just to make sure, you get a certificate of appropriateness. So it says, yeah, what you're doing is appropriate to the historic nature of the building. If you're locally listed, you do qualify for the state tax credits.
mhm,
But both the state and federal tax credits use the same standards to
Okay.
get you, it's the same standards we will use in our certificate of appropriateness. It's the Secretary of Interior standards,
okay,
and that's put out by the National Park Service.
okay.
So
Thank you.
there's a lot of layers.
Yeah, I know,
so
it
I
was
understand
pretty
it's confusing.
confusing, so, and I'm just getting started
I
with
have
this.
a question. Can I ask?
Sure.
Interject? I'm just thinking about South Main School.
Mhm.
If that street would be designated as historic, could we
Locally.
locally,
Mhm.
can we preserve that school? Can we prevent it from being demolished? Do we have that authority?
Um,
If it was designated.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which would
we-
be a way of saving it,
Right.
perhaps.
Right.
right, exactly.
Okay. One other thing I just have, and I don't know, this maybe could be a part of the Boontown Homes of Bowling Green, but the Shakespeare Roundtable has been an organization that has been meeting continuously since 1905. And it started in a lot of the homes that were on West Wooster Street, the ladies of the club, so to speak, and the Carter House. And it might be an interesting subset of one of these, presentations to include the Shakespeare Roundtable and its history. From what I understand, it's one of the few continuously meeting clubs in the nation, and there were thousands of them at one time. So that's just an interesting tidbit. And Heather, you talked about Nina's document as an example of, that's an individual homeowner. that
Yes, that's who,
applied?
Will just mentioned 328
Yes.
East Court Street. Yes. Mhm.
328 East
Yes.
Court. Okay. And is that a document that you could share as an
Absolutely. Mhm.
example? Could you
Yes,
email
definitely.
that to me? I'd be
Yes, I will
very
make a note.
interested in seeing that. And then I would like to have a yard sign. So
Oh,
for the
perfect.
upcoming thing.
That's
and,
exciting. Thank you.
And also, John, your summary document that you published, could you email that to
Sure.
me as well?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Jan. She's our newest
Yeah.
friend,
Yes, thank you.
courtesy of her attendance at the tax credit workshop.
Do we have any? Oh, heck, yeah.
Hi, Dick Martin. I just wanted to make you aware that on August 27th, will be Living History Day. It will be out at the County Museum. This year, it's going to be focusing on the Wood County Fair, people that have been involved in the fair from its beginning in 1851 through today. One of the people that I think they're going to focus on is a man named James Ordway, hence Ordway Street. And we understand in doing research, he built hundreds of homes in Bowling Green, including the Chittister home, including the home right out here in the corner of Baldwin home. And so he's going to be talking, he also built many of the buildings that at the city park, which was the fairgrounds then. So anyway, I just want to make you aware that that is going to be going on. We'd love to have you come out to it. It's going to be at, I think about 2:00, and it's out at the museum in the Grove.
Are you part of the Living
I'm on
Museum?
the committee that is right, but I don't do the.
Okay.
You're not an actor.
Didn't realize that was a profession.
Profession.
Those the house that you sent the picture of, he did it.
Yeah,
He was
that was the
he was-
Baldwin.
He was a general contractor, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
About 100, I guess, something like that.
Yeah, I was curious, the snapshot that Millie had of that listed the contractor, if that came from a book she has or. Okay. Yeah,
It had all the suppliers and the
yeah, the
architecture for how
materials
to
and
clean it.
yeah.
It
that
looks
could
like it
be-
Mm, that makes sense.
has drawings.
And that's a building example that's drastically changed,
Mhm.
unfortunately. but-
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Rose Drain. I live at 228 East Court Street. I regret I will not be able to attend the meeting on March 28th. But we will be in Arizona, so I don't regret that. Um, However, I intend to keep abreast of city meetings via the city's YouTube channel in my absence, so I will see you then. Um, let's see, I would request that when the press release is done for the History Lives Here, that be sent to the Friends of the Historic Preservation Commission, as well as because I think there's there are probably about 20 people in the email list of the Friends. And so that'll help spread it. And plus that'll bring it to my attention because we also want a sign, although we will probably need two because occasionally people coming home from the bar at 2 a.m. Help themselves to yard signs. I'm really excited about that opportunity for people to use the QR code to get to know more about the wonderful places that Bowling Green has. Regarding the Tell Your BG History session, I just think that could be so cool. And as you were talking about it, Chris, it occurred to me that that could perhaps be an evening that would feature the speakers, but also be a fundraiser for the Historic Preservation Commission projects. So, that would probably take a lot of planning. So maybe a year from now in Historic Preservation Month, that might be an idea. When you need help with things like getting signs out, if you have a whole swamp of people that request the signs for May, please remember to ask us because a lot of us are less busy perhaps than those of you who are still working for sure. Let's see. I want to bring to your attention that the group that I've been working with regarding concerns about the proposed PR district for the city's zoning change. We have presented an alternative proposal to City Council that we hope they are going to seriously consider, and that's that the area that is currently proposed is the pedestrian residential district, that the city consider it a district and that it be called the Central Residential District. Those of us working on it feel that the residential character of nearly 104 blocks of the city surrounding the downtown, stretching from Poe to Napoleon, it's a large area, and it is mostly historic homes because I checked with Heather to see what the national definition of historic structure is, and it's anything that is 50 years old or more. So most of the residences in our proposed central residential district are historic structures, and we want them to remain as residential neighborhoods. I suppose as a commission, you may not be able to weigh in. Maybe you can, I don't know. If as a commission you cannot weigh in, then I hope that you as individuals will consider our proposal and express your thoughts about keeping these historic residential neighborhoods as neighborhoods. You'll have opportunities to do that in person at city council meetings during lobby visitation on March 6th and March 20th, April 3rd and April 17th. You can stay tuned for council's work on the draft zoning code. They will be having work sessions on March 13th and March 27th. And perhaps most importantly is attending the public forum that is going to be held on the draft zoning code. And that will be on Thursday, March 23rd. So please keep that on your radar, and as you're able to be advocates for historic preservation in Bowling Green, let your voices be heard.
Can you say that again? What's happening on March 23rd?
That is a public forum.
Public
It
forum.
will be take place at the Veterans Building at Bowling Green City Park, and it will start at 6 p.m. Thanks.
Thanks, Rose. Do we have any other lobby visitation? Yeah.
Try to keep this brief. I'm Dale Arnold, H. Dale Arnold, AKA H.D. Arnold. I live at 201 Ridge Street. And kept fixed on this false trace when it came through Wood County. There's not a whole lot written. Will, you can help me if you know more. But turns out General Hall or Colonel Hall, he was a pretty successful Revolutionary War guy, but he wasn't too much after that. I guess he was put at the head of the Indian affairs in this region. And in 1812, he started out in Cincinnati, and then for some reason was referred to Staunton Township, which is around Washington Courthouse. Then the next thing written was he went to Dayton, and he organized a group of soldiers or explorers to lay out a route, a supply route up into this region and all the way to Detroit. So it officially started in Urbana. Cincinnati up to Urbana. This inclusive here, from Urbana, it followed Route 68 up through Kenton into Findlay, and then it started with Route 25, US Route 25. Of course, it wasn't called that, and got into Wood County with all the swamp and stuff, and they started to lay down wooden roads or log roads, and they call them corduroy roads. Up to Wood County then, and through Wood County. And I don't know if it came down 25. There's a Hall Prairie Road up north, but I think that was later. I think it followed Haskins Road. And Haskins Road up to the river, down the river, up to Maumee and the Fort Meg. So that bridge was the official crossing area. There was another place out by Waterville where they ferried across, but the main one was up by Fort Meigs. And then he continued on up into Michigan, down Route 25 through Toledo and up. That's pretty well defined. And there, I guess the most preserved area is up around the Raisin River area. The actual parts of the road still visible up there, I guess.
Wow.
So, did get out on Wood County map. As we come out here by Signet. First 75 wasn't there, 25 really wasn't. Followed some creeks, crossed over. And it makes sense that it came up through Portage, because that was settled. And then north of here, again, I said there was the Hall Prairie Road, but it makes more sense to ask. Straight. On the raised areas, of course,
Yeah, Haskins.
swampy. And hit the river. And then there was some settlement on this island right here, so that makes sense, up there by Buttonwood Park. And then traveled along the river up. to Portland. So going through Bowling Green, south of Deer Portage. You know, town's not there, taking the high ground. It turns out that Van Tassel in a book. First thing in his book, which is Historical Highlights of Wood County. Says Bowling Green's first settler was Eliza Martindale of Lexon, Massachusetts, who entered the government on October 29th, 1832. A large portion of land now embraced within the Fourth Ward. First settling at Fort Meigs and then Maumee. He built the first house in Bowling Green, a log cabin, in the spring of 1833. The location was on the ridge on the west side of present Haskins Street, south of the B&O Railroad crossing, then followed closely by Alfred Thurston, Lee Moore, Henry Walker, Jacobs. So I was out there running around trying to find it. South of the railroad, and it turns out this is the highest point, this home here is the highest point on Haskins Road. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think that the other Centennial book is describes that, and it says like the cabin was apparently sitting back where the garage is now.
Oh,
So it's like.
well, that's a
not-
newer structure.
And it was in that other book. Last,
What book's that?
that says the Sesquicentennial.
Oh,
Yeah, it was,
well, I didn't get the address of that, and then I was gonna go to the courthouse to find out, but I don't know when that started. I mean, this was probably before they started keeping land records of property owners. That makes sense. Close to school. So probably in that area is where it first happened. Do you know
Oh.
more than that? Yep.
Well, no, I've read. Prayer. Big prayer.
Right.
Thing called prayer. Exactly where.
Right. Mhm. So there we go.
Thank you.
this,
Yeah, thanks, Dale.
this book isn't, I just happened to be reading it this afternoon a little bit, just, I was looking up for Underground Railroads.
Oh,
Cause see, cause Bowling Green was on one of the routes, but I don't know whether there was any houses here that they'd call stations where people housed the slaves on their movement, cause they're free once they got to Canada. Once they got on British land, so coming through Ohio, they still weren't free, but they were hid. The one it talks about was in house in Maumee, and it showed a picture of it. And it was like they came up from the Maumee River, so it must have been more water in it, you know, at the time, but they snuck them in the basement or something here. But there was a lot of Indians in this area too,
of
a
course.
lot of friendly ones, because there was the story I was reading today was about there was a lady that the Indians would come visit,